HTLA Radio 1 in New York City proudly presents Crash Talk.
Presents rock superstar Crash Jesus.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good night.
And there it is, gang. Yes, my British rocker. You've tuned into another fabulous episode of Crash Talk, mates. I'm going to rip it out, break it down, and stick it all back together for you, right? Well, yes, I am. Yes, I am. In fact, today is a double shot. It really is. Well, yes, thank you. Yeah. It is a double shot today. We are doing some things never before done on HTLA Radio 1. No. We had a little issue with some ice yesterday. You know, that ice, that minus 33. Yes, we had that. So, no straight talk for the first time in HTLA history. Not even kidding. Yeah. So, as we were unable to broadcast last night, thank you, Mr. Iceman, we have a double shot. That's right. You guys can take that recording and stick it on your shows. Double shot. Yeah. We got a double shot today of course, yours truly and Crash Talk, and also the Straight Talk, which was meant to be aired last night. And the show that we had for you last night was, in specific, all about Jihad Jane. Yes. Warriors of the Jihad. We will all take heed and follow G.I. Jane into hell. Yeah, well, that's the Jihad Jane there. That's the media coinage of the woman in question. Not as cool, if you ask me, as Tokyo Rose. Certainly not as useful, but it's topical and it's on my show. So fasten your seatbelts, hold on to your butts. It's about to get crashy in here. Yeah. So, just want to qualify, too, before we go any further, that all of my information and everything that I'm getting from for today's show is courtesy of Reuters. Well, where to start with this one? This has actually been going on a number of years, gang. Yes, it has. In fact, you probably missed Jihad Jane's last 4 years of shows because she's been in the prison. Yes, she has. Yes, this woman who befriended supposed terrorists, not Shiite Muslim militiamen. I love saying that. No, these were supposed to be Islamic terrorists. Yes, those kind that we hear, those kind that were deployed all over the planet to fight against. They're actually right here. Good old USA. I'm sorry. This whole thing is funny. Yes, it is. It's not even scary. No, and I'm sure the media would like to propel you on that road to scared. Oh, it could be any blonde woman you see as an Islamic terrorist raising pillars of holy fire in your cities each week until her demands are met. But you see, it's not that. No, this is another, what I like to call, idiot. Yes, the famous ID10T. Yes. A U.S. judge on Monday sentenced an American woman who called herself Jihad Jane to 10 years in prison, at least a decade less than prosecutors had sought for her role in an apparent failed plot to kill a Swedish artist who had depicted the head of a Muslim prophet, Muhammad, on a dog. That's right. That was the grand plot. That's the plan, the We are going to destroy the Americans by killing a Swedish artist. Yes. We'll make an example out of that Swedish artist that nobody cares about. It will be glorious. Allah will be praised. No. And you see, that's the funny part of my show right there. That's it. And actually, you're going to be laughing your butts off all the way through my show, if I have anything to say about it, because this is so bloody ridiculous, it's scary. I am, of course, speaking of Colleen R. LaRose, a 50-year-old woman who converted to Islam online. Yeah, she converted online. It's like those online university degrees. They don't really mean anything, but they still cost money. But there you go. So she converted to Islam online. Because I guess, if you're that bored, you've got a choice. Either go over and listen to Crash Talk or go convert to Muslim online. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, she did it online and has maintained her faith. Was given credit for the 4 years she has already served in jail on the 8th floor of the FBI detention center. Yes, where she was thrown immediately upon being arrested when she returned to the United States. But return from what, you might ask? What did she do? Did she kill this Swedish guy? Nope. No, not even anywhere near him. Didn't even make it to Sweden. Check this out. She pleaded guilty to the following orders in 2009 from alleged Al-Qaeda operatives. This is good, too. You're going to love this. Al-Qaeda operatives working in Baltimore and Ireland. Yes, you did not know, American pigs. No, you did not know we were working in Ireland, did you? No, you thought it was just the IRA over there. Ha-ha. You bunch of idiots. Man, if I was the FBI special agent that got this job, I would have laughed at my section chief and walked out of the room. There's nothing about this that is real-world scenario. There's nothing about this that, well, short of her dressing up in her little head wrap for the news videos, there's nothing even theatrical about this. But we'll get to all that, trust me. Yes, from alleged Al-Qaeda operatives could have received a life sentence. Yeah, if she actually did anything. Oh, wait, the planning. Yes, I'm going to rob that bank next week. Oh, they can throw you in jail now. Yeah. Her attorney says it's just a just and reasonable sentence. Mark Wilson told reporters after hearing she's pleased. 10 years is about what we were hoping for all along. Oh, yeah, because, I'd be hoping for 10 years in federal prison. Yeah, wouldn't you? What a deal. You get to be in prison for 10 years. What? Anyway. U.S. District Judge Patrice Tucker. Wonder if that had any bearing on the case. She called LaRose's crimes gravely serious. And when you hear about what the actual crimes were, you're going to giggle yourself silly. Check us out. She added that the court has no doubt that given the opportunity, Miss DeLaRose would have completed the mission. Yes, for Allah. Tucker also cited the significant cooperation LaRose has given to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in other terrorism cases since her 2009. Yes, because she is plugged in to that Al-Qaeda network, boys and girls. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she could have given up bin Laden back in 2002, but it wasn't in her best interest then. You have to understand. Her higher-ups in Ireland wouldn't allow such things. Yes. Right. Okay, so, since her 2009 arrest, as well as the, get this, sexual and other abuse she suffered as a child at the hands of her own father, that abuse was chronicled in 2011 Reuters investigative series. Yes, it was. So now we're supposed to believe that this otherwise normal woman who grew up being raped by her father until she was 13, then dealt with substance abuse and, tried to lead as best a life as she could for the last 3 decades. and now just converts to the most oppressive religion against women that there still is on the planet. Just let that sink in for a minute here, gang, because that's what we're being asked to believe here. So now LaRose, who used the name Jihad Jane as she became involved in the Muslim online world, traveled to Europe. Yes, another haven for terrorists, by the way, especially the Muslim Islamic terrorists. They love Europe, especially in the spring. In Europe in 2009, intending to participate in a militant plot to shoot artist Lars Vilks in the chest 6 times. But LaRose became impatient with the men who lured her to Europe and gave up after 6 weeks and returned to Philadelphia, where she, of course, was arrested. At Monday's hearing, LaRose apologized for blindly following the instructions of her handlers. She says, "I was in a trance. I couldn't see anything else," she said. "I don't want to be in Jihad no more." Sorry. When a Muslim enters a jihad against anybody or anything, that's a lifelong commitment. That's seeing the job done or seeing your own death. And as long as you are faithful to Allah, you will be fine and get those 72 virgins. So, I don't want to be in jihad no more. Okay, this is not an Islamic terrorist, as we're being led to believe. It's just not. I'm going to go to a clip here to give you some of the details that I probably can't give you in my time. And of course, the report comes from Reuters itself. We'll give you a little bit of this, get back into it, go for a commercial break, and then we'll really get into it, because I got a lot of fun stuff here, gang. So it'll be right back.
The second time the FBI came to my house the day before I left America,
Yeah.
he came to me. He told me that, did I have any questions or whatever? I told him no. He goes, well, it's not every day that the FBI comes to a person's house to talk to him. I told him no. I don't have any questions. And he wanted, because he knew I was fixing to leave the next day, and I was going to go to Holland.
Yeah.
He knew all my plans, my itinerary, everything. And I denied it 100%. I said, no, I'm not going nowhere, no.
When you're flying to Amsterdam on the way over,
Yeah.
what's going through your mind? What are you thinking about?
I was thinking that I was going to get there, and I was going to see my brother, and that he's going to take me someplace where I could go learn to train.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought we had all kinds of plans. I thought all brothers and sisters was waiting for me. All they had to do was just get there, and then we was going to go to a house, and that's where we was going to start training.
Mm-hmm. And so what happened when you got there?
Well, I got there, and there was nothing like that at all.
So tell me about Ali Dimash.
Well,
What's he like?
He was the one that made me helped me to stay on the road of jihad. And, he would tell me to hate the kafir and be gentle to the believers. And he would tell me what was right and what was wrong. And he had me, I don't know why, he always had me to contact brothers he thought might be interested in jihad. He wasn't supposed to go with me to Sweden. He was just supposed to train me over there in Ireland.
Did he train you?
No, because when I got there, nothing was the way he said it was. He was unemployed. He was living in an apartment that he was fixing to get kicked out of. And he didn't have no brothers and sisters waiting for me. He didn't have no home for me to go to train or anything. And he told my brother in Pakistan, he told my brother in Maryland, my little brother,
Mm-hmm.
he told us all that he had everything ready for me. All he was doing was waiting for me to get there. And my brother in Pakistan, because I sort of started thinking, well, maybe I don't want to go. But then my brother in Pakistan insisted. He told me that Ali had everything ready for me. What was I waiting for? And I didn't have any excuse, so I went ahead and I made my plane reservation. When I first got to Holland, and I first started wearing my hijab, because when I was in America, I didn't wear it. And I was wearing my hijab, and I was walking around free. You know that song that they have, You're Gonna Make It After All?
Yes.
That song would go through my mind. I felt like I was at home. I felt like I was free finally.
What were you? Can you paint me a scene there where you're just standing there and you're thinking, you know what? I'm going home.
Well, it happened when I thought that when I was in my with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And we had gone to the store, me, her, and her husband, and she and I was sitting in the vehicle waiting for him to come back out, and then I started thinking that, I mean, she has a husband and she has a family and she's happy. I want to be happy. Then I wasn't sure if going back to America was what I wanted or not. But I thought about it, and I thought that Kurt, he spoiled me. And so that, I mean, I was missing out on that, but I still wasn't too sure. And then when he sent an email to Kurt and I gave him my phone number, he called me and he told me that about my mother, and that's what cinched it for me. When I told my sister about what me and Ali and what me and Eagle Eye talked about, and I told her that he wanted me to kill that guy, she told me that that guy does deserve to be killed, but for me to wait and let her talk to her husband. And so when she talked to her husband told her to tell me that I was lost. Because, I mean, nobody can promise me Jana except for Allah. It made me start thinking that maybe I was going a little bit too far in a way, but it didn't change my mind, really. That's about the time I decided that I was homesick. I wanted to come back, and I wanted to get back to my life, I guess. I mean, I was lonely. I got homesick.
Yeah.
And I knew that that they wanted to question me.
Yeah, of course they would. Because you are dealing with the well-known terrorist Black Flag. Yes, and in collusion with the other terrorist in Holland, Eagle Eye. Excuse me. Pardon me. That's just another funny part of this story for me. Yes, we're going to use American call signs for our terrorists. That way they'll never suspect anything. I'm sure there are terrorist cells operating out there like Maverick and Goose. Yes, we will goose the Americans. Okay. Wow. This is so stupid, it's not even funny. Like, so stupid. And we're to believe that this is an amazing new threat now. The terrorists, the sleeper cells that Bush referred to back in 2001 are actually real. We've caught one. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. They're alive and well and hooking up with Ireland and Holland in master plans to kill Swedish artists. I'm beginning to see the implications now. We'd better lock down the White House. No. This woman, in my mind, doesn't deserve 10 days in any jail. This woman doesn't even deserve 10 minutes. What she does need, I think, is, well, maybe a dose of what we all need. But I'll get into that in just a few minutes here. I want to go to another report, which will actually give you a little more well-rounded look at this story, in case some of you aren't familiar with it. I just want to make sure all the facts are out there, so we'll be back in a few.
She's spoken publicly about her case. In reporting this, Helene LaRose. Online, she called herself Jihad Jane. 4'11", green eyes, blonde hair, white skin, American-born, carrying a U.S. passport. All attributes she believed would make her valuable to Al-Qaeda because she could, quote, blend in. U.S. authorities say she represents the new face of terror. In 2007, at age 45, she became interested in Islam after a tryst with a Muslim man. She became radicalized later online after watching the killing of Palestinians and Iraqis at the hands of Israelis and Americans. Up until this point, LaRose had led a troubled life. She was sexually abused as a child by her father. She became a heavy drug user, an alcoholic, arrested for petty crimes.
I decided this is my jihad, and then Jane just came up. I mean, I decided it would be Jihad Jane.
In jihadist chat rooms, LaRose met many men who claimed to be working with Al-Qaeda. One of them was named Eagle Eye. He was an Al-Qaeda operative in Pakistan. Over many months, she grew to trust him. Eventually, he persuaded her to kill. In 2009, LaRose left the United States for Europe to kill the artist Lars Vilks, who outraged Muslims around the world by drawing a cartoon depicting the Prophet Muhammad on the face of a dog.
Not just any sister is given an assignment like that. Matter of fact, I don't know any sisters who was given an assignment like that. And my brother told me she was 6 times in the chest. For some reason, it meant a lot to me to make him proud.
By summer, the FBI had been tipped to LaRose's jihadist rants online. An agent came to her home and left a note asking her to call. 2 days before LaRose was scheduled to fly to Amsterdam, an FBI agent returned to her home. This time she answered. The agent asked her if she visited Al-Qaeda forums or planned to fly to Europe.
He knew all my plans, my itinerary, everything. And I denied it 100%.
Before she left, LaRose stole her boyfriend's passport and birth certificate, presumably to help other terrorists falsify their identities. She mailed them to her fellow jihadists, a 15-year-old boy by the name of Mohammed Khalid, who lived near Baltimore. Then LaRose flew to Amsterdam to meet a man she knew only as Abdullah. He was supposed to train her in the ways of Islam, and also to train her to be a jihadist.
We had all kinds of plans. Brothers and sisters was waiting for me. All they had to do was just get there, and then we was going to go to a house, and that's where we was going to start training.
And so what happened when you got there?
Well, I got there, and there was nothing like that at all.
Frustrated and impatient, LaRose left Amsterdam for Ireland, where she met up with another jihadist she knew online. We traveled to Ireland to retrace LaRose's steps. She came to Waterford, a town in southern Ireland. There, she met a man named Black Flag. His real name was Ali Dimash. Tell me about Ali Dimash.
He was the one that helped me to stay on the road of jihad. And, I mean, he would teach me, tell me, like, to hate the kafir and be gentle to believers.
Originally from Algeria, Dimash moved to Ireland in about 2001. First to Cork and then into the Waterford area.
Waterford's a very small place, and he situated himself in the historic quarter. They claim there's 1,000 years of history and 1,000 steps, and he was at the heart of that in a new apartment block. The Muslim community in Ireland is very, very small, and he didn't seem in any way to be wanting to make himself known.
Jihad Jane wasn't the only one Dimash invited to Ireland. Dimash had lured Jamie Pauline Ramirez from Leadville, Colorado, a woman the media would later dub Jihad Jamie, by promising to marry her and tutor her in the ways of Islam.
This was not an epiphany. This truly was a young lady who learned of a religion and was drawn to its commitment to God.
On the day Jihad Jamie arrived in Ireland with her young son in tow, she married Black Flag. Dimash urged LaRose to be patient, but she soon came to believe that Dimash was no more equipped to wage jihad than Abdullah in Amsterdam.
When I got there, nothing was the way he said it was. He was unemployed. He was living in an apartment that he was fixing to get kicked out of. And he didn't have no brothers and sisters waiting for me. He didn't have no home for me to go to train or anything.
As she grew impatient in Ireland with Dimash, LaRose told us that she also grew homesick. She emailed her American boyfriend and asked him to call. He told her that her mother was seriously ill. LaRose decided it was time to go home. When her plane landed in Philadelphia, federal agents were waiting. They handcuffed her and took her to the offices of the FBI. The government kept LaRose's arrest quiet for many months so they could continue monitoring the jihadist network. Back in Ireland, Ramirez soon realized she had made a very big mistake. Sitting in her apartment, Jihad Jamie sat before a keyboard and poured out her emotions.
I wish I was never stupid enough to come here. I'm just a sex slave to him. I cry because I always wanted a person in my life who will love me for who I am.
7 months later, on the same day the United States government unsealed an indictment against Colleen LaRose, the Irish police raided the apartment in Waterford. Ramirez, Dimash, and 5 of his associates were brought to court for questioning.
The day that the arrests were made was a major day for the Irish police. The detectives that worked behind the scenes for 5 to 6 months on this with Interpol and with the FBI.
In Ireland, where terrorism usually means the IRA, not Al-Qaeda, not everyone took the plot seriously.
I think the thoughts of many people was that this was a cartoonish type plot to kill a cartoonist because of the names that were being put around. Ireland, although it has a Muslim population, has had little experience of anything approaching Islamic fundamentalism.
And when the word went out that this was part of an Al-Qaeda investigation, a conspiracy to kill, people couldn't believe it.
The plot itself seemed to be amateurish in what it was attempting to do.
U.S. authorities did not portray the plot as amateurs. One official said the case, quote, demonstrates yet another real danger lurking on the internet, and, quote, shatters any lingering thought that we can spot a terrorist based on appearance. The case was so serious that authorities charged LaRose with crimes that could keep her in prison for life.
They had this stupid plan to go get this cartoonist, right? It was a stupid plan. I wish that all the terrorists in the world were like these people, because then none of us would have anything to be worried about.
LaRose agrees with the U.S. government's assessment that her plot was serious.
You have asked me why did I tell him that I was going to kill that guy, I don't know why I told him. I just told him, because I told him I was going to tell him the truth about everything, and I told him the truth about it.
If we take her gender out of the equation, if we take some of the sort of what you might even term sort of tongue-in-cheek description of her activity printed in the US press, well, I would say that she took some pretty significant steps that seemed to indicate that she was relatively serious about engaging in this plot to murder the Swedish cartoonist Lars Vilks.
Jihad Jamie and the boy from Maryland were not charged in the plot to kill the Swedish cartoonist Vilks. They pleaded guilty only to providing material support to terrorists. They are expected to be sentenced early next year. Ali Damash, the Black Flag, remains in Ireland on unrelated charges. If he's ever extradited to the United States, he'll face terrorism charges. Colleen LaRose, Jihad Jane, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to aid terrorists and traveling overseas to kill Vilks. Vilks believes that LaRose should be set free. We reached him by phone in Sweden. He said 3 years in prison is punishment enough.
If this had happened in Sweden, she would maybe have not more than 2 years jail. I mean, that would be the maximum. I think she had done what she should. And from my point of view, I mean, I'm not out for any revenge or something.
LaRose is scheduled to be sentenced in May. She could face 30 years to life in prison. Her lawyers are expected to ask the judge for a much shorter sentence, citing the mitigating circumstances of her childhood. Ali Avery Menino was the therapist who helped LaRose escape the streets when she was a teenage prostitute. The therapist hadn't seen LaRose in 30 years, but recognized her instantly on television.
When I was sitting there and I saw her picture on TV, I knew it was her right away. She looked so much the same as she did as that young, hurt girl that I had dealt with in 1980. First of all, that she would be manipulated by some man to do something destructive does not surprise me. Because of the violation that she experienced with her father when she was 17 years old, she was easily manipulated by men in her life. The male-female relationship was somewhat distorted for Colleen because of the sex abuse. What was surprising is that the mission was to hurt another individual. That was not the Colleen LaRose that I knew.
Well, that might not have been the Colleen LaRose that she knew, but that was the Colleen LaRose that's got 10 years. That's right, 10 years for this tale of retardedness. A couple of corrections I guess I got to make there, of course. Ali Damash, the great Irish connection, the Black Flag. Yes. Unemployed, didn't have anything, was about to be kicked out of his apartment. He was the guy who was supposed to have the training complex. Okay, so let's add that into our little equation here. Okay, that's all bullshit. He's meeting women online and trying to get laid. Eagle Eye is not in Pakistan. No, he's not in Holland. Rather, he is in Pakistan. Yes, so we're having all those issues with Pakistan right now, as we have ever since we went and occupied those oil fields up there in Afghanistan. And so tensions are high. So we got a guy from Pakistan with an American Eagle Eye. Roger, 6-2, this is Eagle Eye. I'm coming in for my terrorist attack. Yeah, Eagle Eye. Yes, the Al-Qaeda, supposed Al-Qaeda operative in Pakistan now. Mohammed Khalid. Yes, who can forget the main contact there, Mohammed Khalid in Baltimore. Yes, that 15-year-old kid. That's got to be the pivotal element to the entire plan. I swear. And who can forget little Jihad Jamie, huh? The sex slave. Oh, I got there and it was nothing but sex. I was just his sex slave. I didn't get any training or a bomb fest or anything. I just was his sex slave. Yeah. Well, you know, this story isn't that unheard of, gang. No, it's not. Not in the context of terrorism. Certainly not in the context of the Muslim faith or any religious cell derivative thereof. But we've heard this all before, haven't we? Yes, online dating. Sounding familiar? We'll be back in a few minutes and get into this. Hang on.
The Chevy Cruze offers an EPA estimated 36 mpg highway. That's crazy.
Crazy efficient.
10 standard airbags.
And you get StabiliTrak with traction control.
That is like crazy protection. This interior is
insane.
It is insane. I was going to say crazy again.
Visit your local Chevy dealer today. Right now, get this great lease on a 2013 Chevy Cruze LS for around $149 a month.
Fourth down, Coach. What do we do? I'll tell you what we do. I want you to go on the field, look for anything with an O. Let's kill them with kindness. Jimmy, I want you to make balloon animals. Tyler, make little tea cozy, something fun. Are you okay? We will win this for Mother Russia!
Coach, eat a Snickers.
Why is that, Chief?
You get a little loopy when you're hungry. Better.
Now let's go for it!
Go get him, guys!
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Hey, look at that new Toyota.
Look at that new Toyota.
Before you look at Honda Civic, you better look at this new Toyota Corolla. Now, you can get a 2013 Corolla with 0% financing. Or lease this Corolla LE for just $179 a month.
Look at that new Toyota.
Toyota. Let's go places.
HTLA Radio 1.
Powered by Procast.
Oh, damn, hurting my ears, woman. Yes, we are powered by Procast, the amazing database that is just amazing and incredible, and you won't be able to get enough of it when it's out there. Put it that way. You are listening to Crash Talk on HTLA Radio 1, New York City. Right now, 9 degrees in Central Park. But with the wind chill, it's feeling like minus 25. So it has warmed up a good 7 degrees since earlier this afternoon. Yeah. Anyway, where the hell were we? Oh, yes. The terrorist plots. Yes. Right. Well, really, I think we need to really kind of get into this a little more because I'm confused about a number of things. And I know you're confused about a number of things because you're not well versed in this story. No, not as well versed as I am, thinking the guys in Holland. But anyway, yes. So anyway, at Monday's hearing, LaRose apparently apologized for blindly following the instructions of my handlers. Yes, your out-of-work bum in Ireland and the other dude who got himself a sex slave with your cousin or whatever the hell it is. Your handlers. Well, when your handlers don't have any resources, they're getting thrown out of their apartments, they don't have brethren to train with, and they certainly do not have a training compound from which to carry out the threats against the United States. I mean, the Swedish artist guy, yes. Yeah. I was in a trance and I couldn't see anything else, she said. I don't want to be in Jihad no more. Sounds like an old Chain Gang song, doesn't it? I don't want to be in Jihad no more. Yeah. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jennifer Williams had sought decades behind bars for this. Oh, yes. Decades. Throw her away and throw away the key and lock her away and, yeah, don't throw anything and that stuff. Decades. I want this woman to die in jail. Arguing that despite her extensive cooperation, she was still a danger to society. Well, last time I looked, when someone like this, and when I say like this, I say suffering from, alcohol and drug problems and a lot of emotional issues that she hadn't dealt with in those 3 decades since her counselor saw her last. A danger to society? No, I think maybe a danger to that 8-ball crack rock over there, but not much else. Yes. And then, of course, there's the other thing. Yes, the other thing that I'm not forgetting, because this is very poignant and you need to listen carefully. Prosecutors also had pointed out that LaRose, a blonde-haired, green-eyed, white American, did not fit the stereotype of an Islamic militant. Well, no, she didn't, because she wasn't. This is a sentencing that people are watching, Williams said on Monday. Miss LaRose had such a big impact in the public and press because she really did change the face of what the world thought of as a violent jihadist. Well, it shouldn't, because it isn't. She says, it was scary for people to hear that Miss LaRose could have been radicalized simply online in the U.S. Yes, let's blame the internet now. It's the internet's fault. No, it's not. And like I was saying before the break, it sounds an awful lot like online dating drama. Yes, it does. So this lonely woman with a lame-ass boyfriend, really bored with her life, tired with her life, wondering where she was going to get the next crack rock. Maybe, I don't know, saw a news report on some terrorist somewhere and thought that the place that they were arrested in or killed was exotic and exciting, and maybe I should look for yes, that's what I'll do. I'll look for an Islamic man. Yes, not knowing a clue one about the religion, not knowing how oppressive it was specifically towards women, as you feminists would agree with me on. What about all those childhood scars, huh? Wilson told the court that the plot to kill Vilks was more aspirational than operational, and that LaRose never even fired a gun in her life. He described that LaRose was a lonely and vulnerable woman easily manipulated by others online. Her behavior, while not excusable, can be explained in part by deep psychological scars from her childhood, he said. Well, that's funny. Didn't lowly old me just say that a few seconds ago? I did. Now, LaRose's biological father, apparently, because remember, this isn't 100% either, raped her from the ages of 7 to 13 years old when she finally ran away and became a prostitute. According to court documents, at age 16, LaRose married a man twice her age and later became a heavy drug user. Yeah. She says, I've survived a lot of things that should have rightfully killed me. Well, yes. Maybe that... Oh, I see. I see where that fits in now. She thinks she's unstoppable. Yes. I'm beginning to see the black flag attraction to her. Yes. While LaRose was in contact with an al-Qaeda operative in Pakistan, her conspirators repeatedly bungled a plot that never moved much past the planning stages. Vilks, the artist, had told Reuters that he believes that LaRose has spent enough time in prison and she should be freed. That's a pretty tough sentence, Vilks told Swedish news agency TT on Monday. Under U.S. sentencing rules, LaRose likely will serve 90% of her sentence, which means she will be eligible for release around 2020. She has requested imprisonment near her sister Pam in the Fort Worth, Texas area, but the final decision will be up to the Bureau of Prisons. LaRose was in solitary confinement for 4 years, but recently moved to the general population at a Philadelphia jail. Ali Damash, LaRose's alleged handler in Ireland, of all places. I mean, it couldn't get any funnier if you go pay Kate. Go pay Kate. Here, Kate, here's $20,000. I want you to write me a story about the absolute most unlikely American terrorist operative you can think of, and the most unlikely group of terrorists handling her, and put them in the most unlikely of places on the planet, and give me a screenplay. She would write this. I'm telling you. It's got ridiculous stupidity all over it. And it's like her lawyer says, actually, in that, little clip I just played for you. If terrorists all over the world are like this, we don't have a problem. Mm-hmm. And we wouldn't. Right? Yes. The sentencing for another co-conspirator who has pleaded guilty is Mohammed Hassan Khalid. Mohammed Hassan Khalid has delayed in order to complete a psychological evaluation. Khalid, who grew up in Pakistan, was an honor student in suburban Baltimore. Kind of sounds like somebody else. Well, he committed his crimes when he was 15, and he is the youngest person ever charged with terrorism inside the United States. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. But I would submit to the court of popular opinion that a 15-year-old Pakistan boy isn't capable of very much. And when we have an American government that is so hyped and keyed on listening to our every conversation, monitoring our every email and private chat message, you can't tell me that any 15-year-olds out there are any threat to anybody. I'm sorry. I just don't believe you. Now, according to a November report in the Guardian newspaper, documents leaked by Edward Snowden, a former contractor for the U.S. National Security Agency, to the British newspaper show that the FBI became involved in the Jihad John case after the NSA intercepted communications. Yes. Well, I've got a little bit of info that you may not know about me. Yes, I do. You see, most of you know that I've been in film and television for 17 years, back in Vancouver and Victoria and the surrounding Pacific Northwest regions of the great Canadian wilderness there. And what you also have to understand is back in, I think it was 1997. Yes, all those years ago when everything was black and white. Back in 1997, I was running a production company, and we had probably upwards in the area of about 40 to 50 regular employees, part-time, piecework, yes. Had a staff full-time of 8. And, we were all good friends and all this other good stuff. Well, we had this girl. Yes, it always involves a shalmutra. Yes. We had this girl, and her name was Christy, and she was very close friends with myself and one of my head camera guys, Keith Bond. And here's the funny thing. This is back in 1997 in Canada, okay? Not in the United States, and way before September 11th, right? 1997. I'm going to shout this from the rooftops. Well, it turned out that Christy actually got a good offer to go to Vancouver and do another gig. And so she was going to be away for 4 or 5 months working on this other project. And, Keith and I, we're a couple of wild and crazy guys. So, what do? We're all like, oh, well, we'll keep in touch. We'll email. There's the key word there, gang, email. So we kept in touch with her. Yes, we did. That first night when she was gone, Keith and I were sitting up in the studio at 3 a.m. We were just pissing around and playing. I think we were playing Doom or something. And it was getting on, 3:30 in the morning. We should probably call it a day. Yeah, good point. Oh, wait. Let's email Christy first. Okay. So we write her an email. And here's something a little funny, okay? Keith and I were big fans of the movie True Lies. Yes, James Cameron's epic film starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, and what were they doing in that movie with the sad help of a certain other individual? Well, I would, of course, be, talking about Tom Arnold. Yes. Yes. So the story in True Lies is that, Arnold Schwarzenegger is married to Jamie Lee Curtis, and, unbeknownst to her, he's actually this, world-renowned spy working for the Americans, killing terrorists and doing all this stuff all over the world, and still keeping his home life at home. And, well, Tom Arnold is his funny little sidekick that goes around the world with him, kicking terrorists' ass and giving us some comedic relief. So there's this movie. Well, the bad guys in the movie, okay, the evil Islamic terrorist cell in the movie, and by the way, this was made in 1994, for all you date trackers out there. It was a James Cameron film. And 1994 it was made. 1997, we're sitting there writing Christy an email, and of course we had it playing in the background. We loved that movie. We watched it all the time. So we send her this email, and then we sign it. I believe the direct quote was, Mahmed, leader of the Crimson Jihad, mayor of Nanaimo, which is a small community up in the middle of Vancouver Island, Grand Poobah. The signature was very long, very stupid, and was quite obviously meant to be a joke. But because it was signed to Mahmed of the Crimson Jihad, I guess that hit on somebody's computer somewhere. Because within, and I'm not even kidding here, within 4 hours of us sending this email to her, okay, within 4 hours of this, I was being hauled out of my bed in a raid, and my friend Keith Bond at his residence was being hauled out of bed in a raid at 7 in the morning by a special division of the RCMP with members of the FBI present. Okay? 1997. This happened to us. In fact, I think the month was May. And they took all of our hard drives from our computers. We had about 12 computers in the studio at the time. They took them all. They interrogated us for hours. They went through all of our bills and our correspondence and our paperwork and all of my files at work, to which they took a bunch of them. They took, a huge box full of them. All this. And then they just leave. They just, okay, so it's like 3 PM now. They're done. They've got everything. They all just leave. And a month later, just about 30 days to the day, I get a FedEx truck pull up to the studio, and he's got a package for me. He comes in, and that wasn't strange to get FedEx packages at the studio. We always had people, sending us, videotapes and CDs and stuff of their demo reels or their films or all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, that was a pretty normal occurrence. But just about 30 days to the day, that's when this FedEx package came, and signed for it and got to it, opened it up, and lo and behold, it's all of our files. It's our hard drives, which now are completely formatted, I might add. There's absolutely nothing on them. It's all the information has just been sucked right off. It's gone. And what else? Oh, I got a nice little letter and a business card from then Constable Zimmerman from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Special Investigations Division, which was the jerk-off leading the investigation into our terrorist activities. In 1997, couple of white Irish guys in Victoria, BC, Canada. So let me be very clear here. Americans are so upset that they're being watched by drones and they're being eavesdropped upon. They're being monitored to their internet, wherever they're going on the internet, and monitor all your emails are being monitored, and your banking information and your credentials and all these things are being monitored. Of course they are. And they have been for a lot longer than you think, because if back in 1997, me and my Irish buddy in Canada can get busted by a joint tactical force from Canada and the United States over a ridiculous joke of an email. I mean, you wouldn't understand how much, what a complete difficult time we had trying to convince these guys that we're not the Sand Spider. There's no such thing as the Crimson Jihad. Those are the bad guys in this movie, and yes, I handed it to them. I told them to sit down and watch it with me. It's a good movie, I said. You know, no sense of humor about these guys whatsoever, and they didn't even look at that. You know, so we're giving them the absolute truth, of course, because that's what you do when you get raided at 7 o'clock in the morning when you've been up all night and you don't have a clue as to why these people here are going through your entire house. You tend to cooperate, you know, especially when you haven't done anything wrong. And of course, you know, you get what I got, which was a letter thanking me very much for our cooperation in this matter, period, signed yours truly. That's what I got, 1997. So don't believe that any of this is new. You know, this is kind of another thing I want to get to now. The media. We're talking about the media. The reason this Jihad Jane thing is so big right now is because, here's an opportunity for the government to take somebody, some white, blonde, small, thin, innocuous little female, and turn her into this monster terrorist. Yes, this person you don't know, it could be your next door neighbor. She will blow you up. That's what the sum and total and point of this exercise is right now. This woman shouldn't be in jail. If anywhere, she should be in a treatment center for her drug addiction, or maybe a mental institution to deal with her traumas, if they do indeed exist. Because the part of the story that really doesn't make any psychological sense, and Kate's going to get into that on Straight Talk, is, of course, why someone who would undergo all these traumas from her father, you know, like being repeatedly raped from the ages of 7 to 13, why you would then go and essentially become property to some man in this religion. It doesn't psychologically work that way. So unless this woman changed her identity, or that story is all just total, utter BS created for the little picture, the little propaganda picture we're getting here, then it's just not realistic. And I can't believe that all these high-ranking officials within the FBI and the court system aren't recognizing this and saying nothing about this. No. What's more important is that you all out there in the public believe that that cute little blonde over there could be the next Osama bin Laden, because we killed him, didn't we? And let's be clear about that. Was he guilty of anything? I don't think so, Tim. There's nobody yet to provide one shred of evidence that this guy had anything to do with 9/11. This guy was an employee of the CIA. He was schooled in this country, graduated Harvard. He was not a stupid man. He was an operative for the CIA, and yes, he is the father of Al-Qaeda, and who funded that? We did. We did that to deal with the Russians, didn't we? Oh, yes, back in that old Cold War stuff that's boring and nobody ever talks about because it wasn't like World War II. But then we can't teach anything about World War II in our schools either, because then the kids might get wise and ask the same questions that good old Crash Talk over here is asking. Like, what is it you're trying to prove? What is it you're trying to do with us as a social society when you are purveying this kind of propaganda? What is to be gained by you having the sum and total population of the United States in complete fear, huddled in their homes, not trusting their neighbors? How does that benefit you? And wait a minute, why are all these FEMA zones popping up everywhere in these big FEMA camps, and what is all that stuff about? Because that is going on. I mean, my good buddy Wayne S. Pierce there, over at the Free America Radio Network, yes, okay, you can all sit there and say he's a conspiracy theorist whack job, but I don't look at him that way. I mean, quickly I could make that judgment along with the rest of you and go, yes, he's a conspiracy nut whack job. You're right. Absolutely. I'm with you. Screw him. Write him off. We could do that. But then what? Well, then we don't have to worry about what he's saying anymore, right? The problem, of course, is that I don't listen to what he says so much as I watch what he does. Remember, if you want to really know somebody, you don't listen to them. You don't go by what they say. You watch what they do. And what he does is innocuously and non-threateningly and just going about his day, he puts out links. Yes, he does. He puts out links to various stories. And these various stories are reports. And while they're not by the major news agencies, because the news agencies don't deal in conspiracy theories, it still doesn't negate the fact that the groups that are doing the reports are reporting on actual things that are happening. Point number 1. I could see Los Angeles requiring riot trucks and tanks and armored vehicles. Even Governor Schwarzenegger 7-8 years ago was asking for an additional $400 billion to help him deal with the gang problem in California. So I can see, yeah, you know what? LAPD, right on. Let's rock on. Let's get you guys armored up. Let's get you guys some armor-piercing ammunition, because, of course, the bad guys are all wearing vests and crap now. Let's go ahead and give you smoke and anti-personnel grenade and rocket launchers on these vehicles, too, because you need to really lay the smackdown on these sons of bitches, right? Absolutely. I'm with you there. What makes me kind of wonder is, how come, like, Little Rock, Arkansas got one of these? How come Lafayette got one of these? How come Idaho got one of them? Wait, now we got them in small towns in Nebraska. What we got them in small towns in Nebraska for? Farmers uprising? You have to ask yourself. 400,000 gang members in California versus, what, a couple of wannabe rappers in Idaho? The police are arming up and armoring up in ways that don't make any sense for their region. They don't have anything to do with policing or community service, and they certainly don't have anything to do with upholding any laws, because these regions simply don't need this kind of enforcement. So that was the first thing that made me think, geez, maybe Wayne's onto something here. What are they talking about? This doesn't make sense. And let me be clear, these vehicles ain't cheap. No, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands per. And if you don't believe me, just take your, station wagon or Winnebago down and try and get it armor plated and let them hand you the bill for what that's going to cost, because you're looking at most of those vehicles, you're looking at $100,000 just to get that done to a vehicle. Never mind having these highly specialized all-terrain vehicles, in the first place. Those are another 100 or two. And then, of course, there's the armaments, isn't there? And then there's the satellite communication systems, isn't there? And then there's the this and the that. And before you know it, you're talking about $1 million a unit. And we're putting that in Lafayette? Why? It doesn't make any sense. And usually when things don't make any sense, there's something else going on. And I would submit to you that this whole Jihad Jane thing is, look over here, because we're doing something else over there. Nothing about this is serious, yet it is a good tool to cause fear to people who don't know. It's a good tool to cause potential panic to people who don't know. So, part of my show today, actually, I'm dedicating the entire show today to letting you know don't be scared, don't panic, and we'll be back after this break.
With 160 more miles per tank, the distances aren't getting shorter. The trucks are going farther. The new 2013 Ram 1500. With the best-in-class fuel economy, engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram.
At LG, we dreamed of a day when you could rely on the perfect kitchen. We dreamed of a day when a dishwasher wouldn't require any pre-rinsing, when a refrigerator could be uniquely designed for better access and storage, when a washer could save 20 minutes on larger loads, and an oven would take minutes to clean instead of hours. And for you, that day is now.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
Have I got a treat for you? New clean whipped cream foundation from CoverGirl. A delicious new recipe whipped up by Clean Makeup. They took their clean, fresh foundation, added a dash of hydration, then whipped it to smooth, matte perfection. Finally, a non-drying whip that wears like a dream. What a treat from Clean. New clean whipped cream from easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
We are HTLA Radio 1. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. We will add to your distinctiveness, your advertisers, and your sponsors to our own. Resistance is futile.
Damn it, Q, it's not an anomaly! Sorry. That was my Patrick Stewart. You're listening to HTLA Radio 1 from New York. Number 1. No, see. Anyway, yes, you are listening to HTLA Radio 1 from New York. Yes, live from New York. It is 9 degrees in Central Park, and it's minus 28 with the wind chill. Anyway, who cares about that? We don't care about that. It's warm in here, isn't it? Ba-dum-cha. Now, excuse me, pardon moi. So armored vehicles everywhere. But not just armored vehicles everywhere. No, police having armored vehicles everywhere. Why is that? What's going on? I don't know. Well, I would suggest you kind of do some more reading. I would suggest you kind of look between the lines, and I would certainly suggest that you don't look at mainstream media for any answers. Because as I think I've pretty much proven with this edition of Crash Talk, we now know how to identify an effing joke of a news story as being absolute rubbish. And we've certainly, I think, I hope that you know, the general populace out there has enough intelligence and wherewithal to recognize BS when they see it. Now, I got to feel bad for this woman in jail for another 6.5 years, what have you. That's not what she needs, and that's certainly not what this whole situation needs. But going back to the commonalities between this and our behaviors online, full stop. A lot of you aren't intelligent enough to identify fraud when you see it. I'd like to point your actual attention to Facebook at this time, and I'm sure you all have accounts, so go ahead, log in. And when you log in, you can click on your friends list. Yes, I don't care if you got 30 of them or 3,000 of them or 5,050 like Kate. But click on your friends. Scroll down. Yes, it should have their name and, 2,100 friends, or their name and 5,023 friends, or their name and 219 friends. You get the idea. But if you scroll down your friends, how many of them do you actually know? How many have you met personally? How many are friends of friends or family or friends of other family members? And when you get past that, you get to the other ones. Yes, the other ones. Yes, those ones you don't know. Yes, could they be terrorists? Well, yes, they could, couldn't they? After this story today, anybody could. Come on, sweet little blonde girl. Anybody's a terrorist now. So what are we going to do? Are we going to unfriend these people? What are we going to do with them? What are we going to do with all these people? Well, one of the things that you can do to these people is you can click on their name. Yes, you can. And you'll go to their page. And you can pay attention to the About section of their profile. And usually, mine, I'm looking at an example here, works at actor and stand-up comedian. Yes, he does. He went to Eastside High School, lives in Maplewood, New Jersey. He's married, and he's followed by 29 people. Yes. Yes, but do I really know this man? No, I don't. But he is Gregory from Russia. That's what his comedian shtick is. I am Gregory from Russia. Okay. Well, in real-world terrorism scenarios, quite often Russia is implicated, either geographically or indeed specifically. And I'm not talking about the old Russia. No, not the Soviet Union, the Iron Curtain. I'm not talking about that one huge, huge red country on that other continent on the other side of the planet. No. I'm talking about the 200-plus micro countries that have cropped up since, good old democracy kicked in and we got McDonald's in Russia now, didn't we? Yeah. Give them a little bit of America, and they'll come back loving more, right? Well, what we actually did over there was create about 200 different governments and factions and infighting and fights over borders and fights over resources because, of course, a good number of those countries, which were former provinces of the Soviet Union, didn't have the infrastructure themselves to sustain themselves. But it was okay. They were part of Mother Russia. There was no need. Because, of course, they were communist. The government provided everything. But when that government's not there anymore, and suddenly 9/10 of your country is absolutely unusable land, i.e. mountains, where you can't grow anything, and you've got nothing up there but oil, well, you could probably set up some trade agreements. Oh, but wait, no, you can't, because somebody else already has the oil rights, so 9/10 of your country you don't actually own. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to take these 90 Panzer divisions that I've had sitting in a warehouse, and I'm going to take these other T-90 tanks that I've got in my T-92s and my army, because every one of these countries has a good army, because they all used to be the Red Army. And we're going to fight it out with these guys next door with all the farmland. And that's what we got over in Russia. So Russia quite often gets into it with terrorists because terrorists need funding and terrorists need weapons and terrorists need explosives. And you don't see too many terrorists running around with American equipment, do you? Nope. It's all either Russian or Chinese. Yes. Even the AK-47. It's all Russian or Chinese. Yeah. So when we look at our behavior online and looking at our Facebook guy here, Gregory Korshidevsky, Gregory from Russia. Okay? One thing I don't see here is something that scares me. And that is that little thing, and I'm sure you've all seen it because they're on a billion freaking accounts out there. You've seen those Facebook verified, certified celebrity. Huh? Of course you have. Yes. And what that does is that tells me that that account, whoever that is absolute BS and trying to be something they're not. Which, of course, is what we saw with this case with these black flag in Iran and in Ireland and Eagle Eye in Pakistan. Yes, the these secret Al-Qaeda operatives working in Ireland. That kills me. That's just awesome. That's... yeah. I'm losing it here, man. I'm going down. Anyhow, if you have any friends like that on your Facebook that says verified celebrity, yeah, you'd know them if they were. And real celebrities don't go on Facebook using their real names, or at least their names that are the celebrity names, because then what happens? Then they get slammed with 5,000 friend requests instantly. And oh, Mr. So-and-so, can you sign my thing? Oh, it's wonderful to meet you. You're not meeting anybody. You're talking to a web page that's run by a webmaster. That's what you're doing. Okay? Now, if you come to the Christopher John Taylor Facebook page, I'm the webmaster of that one. Yes, I'm responsible for the imagery and the content that I put up on a daily basis. That's mine. But then, as soon as I put it out there, it becomes the property of Facebook. Yes, so that they can turn in their reports to the CIA and the NSA and anybody else with a something in the A, and go ahead and keep the world abreast of what's going on with that person, because they might be a terrorist too. That's the thing. If they're listening to us, if they're reading all of our emails, if they're checking out all of our texts, that means they don't trust us. And the question for me is, why don't they trust us? What have we ever done to them? Well, stop and think about it. The last presidency was a double. He was voted in twice, apparently by us. This president is in his second, voted in twice, apparently by us. All we do is bitch and moan, complain, yet never do anything to change anything. So what do they care? But then they're not really the government anyway. It is you and me. It is us. The government can't be the government without government employees. And those government employees, no matter how many security checks they put you through, it's still us. Don't you think if there was anything really that big and scary and detrimental to us as a whole, somebody wouldn't come out? Somebody wouldn't leak it? Like they did with the eavesdropping on your cell phones and emails, which I've now uncovered that happened to me in 1997, long before you guys ever had a problem with it. Yeah, so how long have they been doing that? Well, they've probably been doing it ever since they had you offer you up the first internet account, wouldn't you say? Don't forget, the internet in its originality used to be Milnet. Yes, the United States military network. Put that in your pipes and smoke it. All of these protocols, FTP, HTTP, SMTP, all of these protocols are still in use from day one. We got Java sites now and Flash sites. That's great. But they're still using the HTTP protocols, aren't they? The FTPs. Yeah, you know me. And all those protocols have been around since day one. Ask any computer nerd. Also ask them about Milnet. They'll probably have a whole bunch of information for you about that. Where do you think hacking came from? That, too, was from the U.S. military. It was a term they gave when they altered code within their own network. And that goes back to what, 61? No, earlier. All the phone lines that we used back then were copper. They had the ability to tap phone lines, listen to phone conversations. You think this hasn't been going on for decades? I think you might be mistaken. I could be wrong too, but giving you first-hand intel of my little joy in 1997 with this exact same kind of thing, and now being faced with the drones and the monitoring and everything going on now, it just strikes me as kind of ridiculously funny how it doesn't really have anything to do with anything new to me. No. So, I guess, really, what I'm saying overall in this hugely extended hour and 15-minute version of Crash Talk is don't buy into the shit. Don't believe the hype, and do your own research. Do your own reading. Stay away from those big networks. Even if you have to, go to BBC. They're at least a little more honest and got some integrity going on. But yeah, well, I guess that's my Crash Talk for this week. I hope you've enjoyed my Jihad Jane episode. I hope that it's maybe made you think, and I hope that we've all come away from this learning something, and that indeed you will tune into me next week for another edition of Crash Talk on HTLA Radio 1. So, for me and all the rest of the peeps and meeps, I'm out, gang. We'll catch you next week. I want to thank everybody at HTLA Radio 1 New York for allowing me the lovely opportunity of Crash Talk. Special shout out to all my meeps, peeps, and otherwise. Christina Hook, Bud Hook, you know Hook you are. Check me out. I'm going to be on, I'm not going to be on till next Monday. Straight Talk with Kate and Crash. But check out Real Talk tomorrow night, right here, HTLA973.com, and get all your movie review fix. So, for me and all the rest of the HTLA, we're wishing you a happy week, and we'll catch you next time, gang.